So I've been scrolling down my news feeds and I've been seeing a lot of posts about how our vote doesn't matter in November. And I just kind of want to address that because I feel like a lot of people don't understand what the Electoral College is. And I kind of want to break it down in simpler terms, hopefully, so you guys can understand that your vote does matter in November. Whether you want to believe that or not, it really does matter in November. And I'm going to explain to you why. So like in most U.S. elections, the person that wins office is won by the popular vote. The popular vote is me and you. You know, your mom, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your best friend, whoever. Though that's the popular vote. The person that's running for office, it could be your congressman, your senator, it could be your mayor, your state representative, whatever, the governor, whatever. They win by popularity, meaning that more people that go out and vote for them, they win office, right? Common sense. But the president isn't picked that way. He's picked by the Electoral College. The Electoral College is chosen electors by the states, and every president has his own electors, which is called the slate. Whatever, it's just fancy terms. The president has his own electors that are chosen by his political party. So the Democrat president has his own electoral college. The Republican candidate has his own electoral college. There's 538 electors in the United States, and the majority, 270, have to vote for the same person for that president to win, or that person to win presidency. Every state has different number of electors based on their congressional delegates. So some states have 52, some states have 11, some states have 12, some states have 43, whatever, etc., etc. So you get the point, right? The more people in your congressional delegate, the more electors you have in the Electoral College. So each candidate has their own electors chosen by the political party that person's affiliated to. So the political parties in each state nominate these electors at the state conventions. The officials, usually the people that are elected to be electors are either state leaders, people who run politics in local governments, people who are very affiliated with the party that do a lot of things, they move a lot for the party, or there's people that are kind of aligned with the president or the person running for president in some shape, form, or fashion. You know, they're either friends, they know each other, they've worked with each other in offices and political situations, or whatever. They know each other sometimes. So like, there is no provision that requires the electors to vote for the popular vote, right? The Electoral College, that's why we've seen so many times, it's happened 5 times where the popular vote doesn't match the Electoral College. But the Constitution doesn't make the Electoral College have to choose who the popular vote chooses, right? I mean, some states do require that the electors choose a popular vote, but not so many. I think Florida is one of them, which is a battleground state. Because of that reason, because the popular vote is the one that chooses the electors or whatever. So the electors are bound by state law to follow political party or the popular vote or whatever they pledged. And if they don't go as what they pledged or as their political party, they're disqualified, they're replaced, and then they're fined. So it's like super, super duper rare that the electors don't follow the popular vote, okay? Or they don't, you know, throughout the United States, I think 99% of the time, the electors have followed the popular vote, 99% of the time. And I'm gonna explain to you how, like, those last 5 times, the popular vote didn't align with the Electoral College. I'm gonna explain to you in a little bit of why that happens. So now the question is, like, if the electors vote for the president, why should I vote if there's other people voting? Like, we have a middleman that votes for us anyway. Well, during the general election, your vote determines your state's electors, okay? So if I go vote for a party and you go vote for a party and the whole state votes for one party, then that state is using the Republican or the Democrats' electors, okay? Does that make sense? The majority of the popular vote, whoever we choose, whatever president that we choose, let's say you choose a Democrat president, then that state is going to go with the Electoral college of the Democrat, and then they will vote obviously for the Democratic president, right? So then if the majority of the state votes Republican, and that those electors are obviously going to vote for the Republican president. So that's why your vote matters, because we are choosing the party that the state is going to choose to vote for the president. Does that make sense? Like, you may not be directly voting for the president, but you're choosing the party that will choose the president. So like at this point, you're probably like, so then why do we have the electoral college, or why should I even vote if there's a middleman to vote for us? Well, I'm gonna explain to you why it matters, okay? Because at the end of the day, you are choosing the party that's gonna choose for the president. So your vote does matter, because whoever you decide to choose is gonna vote for the president. The electoral college is a really important part of our Constitution. It stops a lot of disaster, a lot of recklessness, and a lot of foolishness that could have happened. By recklessness, I mean, like, imagine it's your right as a citizen to vote for whoever you want, right? You can go on there and write in on the ballot whoever you want, right? But that's millions of Americans voting for whoever they want. So we have a lot of intelligent people in the United States, but we also have a lot of knuckleheads, right? So imagine people going out to vote for these nuts. Right? You know, and some people would. You can't say that some people would, because some people voted for Harambe back in the day. All right? It's happened. Okay? So imagine that happens in a real presidential election where it matters. Like, well, I mean, they all matter, but like this one really matters. Imagine that happens in a presidential election, right? The electoral college is there to prevent stuff like that from happening, because they're going to choose a real candidate, not just some made up person that we can write in on the ballot. So the electoral college, what it does is it mitigates numbers, meaning that now one state will have more of a voice in the other state. I mean, they still do, because the electoral college has different numbers on each state. But imagine if we ran our elections by population, then 10 states would decide the fate of all 50, instead of, you know, it being close calls between states. You know, states like California, New York, and Florida and Texas would decide everyone's president. Every single Montana, Arkansas, it's not, you know, none of these states would even matter. So then those people wouldn't even want to go vote, because everyone in those high populated states are the ones that are choosing the president anyway, right? So if you don't live in a big city where everyone thinks the same and everyone, you know, believes the same thing, then your voice kind of gets lost in the noise, right? So that's why the electoral college is very important, and it creates an even playing field, right? It creates a super even playing field as much as possible between all of the states. There's only been a couple times in history where the popular vote has not gone with the electoral college, or the electoral college has not coincided with the popular vote. Those 5 times were like in 1824 with John Quincy Adams, 1876 with Hayes, 1888 with Harrison, 2000 with Gore, and 2016 with Clinton. Okay, one of the great examples of the electoral college is when Harrison lost the popular vote by 95,000 people. Okay, 95,000 people to Cleveland, right? The South supported Cleveland way more than they supported Harrison, and they voted 425,000 something voted for Cleveland instead of Harrison, right? So in that situation, but the North didn't like Cleveland, so they used the electoral college chose who everyone kind of decided, and you know, the states kind of broadened it out, and the electoral college came in and decided who the president was. So just imagine in that situation where the South would have chosen the president for everyone in the United States. We don't know the political, you know, environment that was going on in that time, but you can imagine. So the South would have chosen their president, and the North and the West and the Midwest and everyone else in between would have got caught in between that. We would have had to go by the president that they wanted, because the South at that time was more populated, or they just have more voters than any other part of the country. That's why the electoral college matters. Clinton, she beat Trump by 2.8 million, something like that, in the popular vote. I don't know the exact numbers, but Trump beat her by over 80 people in the Electoral College. So why did that happen? Well, because the people that voted for Clinton, all those people that voted for Clinton were from highly populated cities, highly populated states. And a lot of those states, right, where there's millions and millions of people that live in those states, they may have voted for Clinton. But that Electoral College, the Electoral College in the whole United States didn't vote for Clinton. They voted for Trump. Whether you agree with that or not, but the thing is that's another example of highly populated states being able to have more of a voice than the little states. And that's where the Electoral College comes in, and that's where it's important, because it evens the playing field for everyone. Even though you may have voted for someone and you're like, oh, well, why is that person president if I know at least 100 people that voted for this person, for person B instead of person A, and person A became president? Well, because person A was voted by the more people in the United States than in your state. Does that make sense? So with all this information being said, I hope I was able to explain the Electoral College a little bit better to you. I know it was kind of long, but I'm sorry. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff I left out, to be honest with you. I just said what I had to say. But with all that being said, I really do hope you go out and vote. I don't care who you vote for. I just want you to go out there and vote. I want to see you at the polls, because your voice does matter. And hopefully I explain to you how it matters, because it does. It doesn't matter what these conspiracy theorists say and blah, blah, blah. No, your voice does matter. At the end of the day, you should exercise your right as an American citizen to make a vote, because there's countries in the world that don't have that privilege, and you have that privilege. So please, whoever you want to go vote for, whether it be blue, whether it be red, whether it be gold, purple, green, I don't care who you want to vote for, what party you want to vote for, just go out and vote. That's the most important part, is that you go out and vote.